Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me today is John Bristowe Fonzarelli. Nice jacket, John.
Today. How's it going, everyone?
I'm doing well, John. How about you, my friend?
I'm well. I'm just busy, as everyone else is.
It's finally getting to be cool enough weather for a jacket down there, eh?
Yeah, I know. So we're in the teens now, so we're Celsius, excuse me. So it's getting a little chilly.
Yeah, we're still in the. It doesn't know if it's summer or spring or winter still, so we keep getting like bouts of snow and whatnot in the middle of nice warm weather.
Oh, nice.
So it's time for some tech news, my friend.
Yeah.
It is either your Monday or Tuesday, depending on where you are, but John and I are here to share the upcoming week of news with you. I grabbed this one from the tech headlines. It's probably not going to impact us too much in what we do, but I still thought it was kind of interesting. It's kind of it feels like a 2020 headline to me.
Okay.
And there's a private equity firm buying out Verizon only to rename it Yahoo.
Sure.
Is Yahoo still a brand name that people recognize? Like, do millennials even know what this is?
I don't know. I know Microsoft knew what Yahoo was when they, I think, proposed to purchase it back in the day. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I should ask my kids.
That's a good point. I should ask my little ones as well. I doubt they know. I doubt, like, maybe my older ones would know. They might guess something on the lines of like it's an old chocolatey drink from the 80s.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'd actually know what Yahoo is or was. So beats me why they'd named it that, but that's what they're doing. From what I gathered, this company has lost in its valuation over the years. So this is, even though it's $5 billion with a B, it's coming off of some pretty heavy losses over the years.
I didn't know Verizon
like
had a media business.
Thing.
I don't even know what Verizon Media is. So.
Yeah. I'm not
Still, if
quite
you can sell
sure.
a business for $5 billion, that's pretty successful in my book.
Sure. So that's happening. So Yahoo's coming back because we needed Yahoo again.
Okay. Sure.
Other big tech news. This is more impactful to us. Apple versus Epic. So Apple and Epic are finally starting their trial. They've been going after each other for a good period of time now about the Apple Marketplace, and it's been tit for tat. They've been kicked out or withdrawn from the Apple Store.
Right.
So Fortnite has been taken out of the Apple Store, and Apple's dropped their fees from 30 to 15%, and it's going to be this battle now with Apple to see who can come out ahead. And if Epic wins, it could change a lot of things for the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, I don't see that one happening. I mean, this is just speculative on my part, so I have no insider knowledge or anything like that. But
Same here.
I think that Apple probably doesn't stand too much of a chance of losing this battle, mostly because of the fact it's their platform. So Epic, it sounds to me like their complaint is that Apple is, sort of a lock-in monopoly sort of approach with their App Store. But at the same time, it's like, look, you didn't garner the popularity we did by, nice hashtag. You didn't garner the popularity that we did through our platform. So it's our platform to control, and so you don't have a right to tell us what we can or can't do. So I don't see Epic really making headway in this case. But that's my ignorant. This is according to my YouTube and Wikipedia research, so take it with a huge grain of salt.
Stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, same here. I don't have a whole lot of legal knowledge on this one, hence the hashtag not lawyers rotating at the bottom of the screen. But, if they were to topple this somehow in Epic's favor, this could mean alternative ways of getting apps on your iPhone, alternative app stores, which
Sure.
have good and bad. Like there are alternative app stores for Android, but has
Yeah,
anyone
but
ever successfully used those?
Yeah, but I think the other argument to be made is that Apple does a significant amount of work around the store itself. Like they curate apps, they check them for potential breaches in security policy. They advertise them. They distribute bits. They do all this infrastructure, and now Epic's like. But I think on Epic's side, I can see the justification where they feel like Apple is unjustly taking a share of their revenue because of this, this service that they feel is probably not warranting the 15%. But, the reality is Fortnite, I know this because my kids play Fortnite. Fortnite garners a great deal of revenue through their in-app purchases. So I think that's where, it's obvious, that's where basically their interests lie. So, yeah, we'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah. So this whole thing started out with, Epic in their in-app purchases of like skins and dance routines and whatever taunts you
Sure.
want to call them. All the game in-game purchase stuff, and Apple has held an iron fist over those even. So they created some way to augment this. I didn't look into the exact mechanics of it, but it was either like through their just public facing website or something. You could buy these upgrades without having to go through the Apple store, and circumvented their fees. So Apple kind of booted them out, and that started this whole pitchforks and burning torches coming after
Sure.
Apple. So I could see both sides of it. There's a little bit of a problem here in the States, I think, where Apple has a majority on the cell phone market, where that may
Is that
not
true, though?
be the case. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they have at least a 50% stake in
I
the
thought it
cell
was.
phone
I thought
market.
they had a 30% market share, but
Worldwide, possibly that's the case.
oh, okay. Yeah, that might be more. That might be accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, in the U.S., I think this is quite different. It's
Yeah,
60%
I've
here
seen
in the U.S.
Yeah. That's right. Sorry.
So they have a majority share here. So when you own the, dominating platform, and then you're kicking people out because you're charging exorbitant fees for purchases in
I
app.
don't know if they're that exorbitant, to be honest. I mean, the amount of infrastructure that you need to stand up a store and advertise it and provide the downloads and curate the packages, and I don't know. I mean, I literally, I'm not saying I don't know. Like I support Apple. I'm like I legitimately don't know. So I would imagine it's not $0
Yeah.
to run. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen how much money Apple makes, but I don't think they're losing money on this deal.
Well, they shouldn't. I mean, but that's
No.
that's a nature of a business. Like if you're wanting to go down that road, it's like, well, what you'd be happy if what the store made zero money? Like why would they invent the store in the first place? Like they're providing this infrastructure. No, you don't. No one's putting a gun to your head and saying you must put it on the store.
Right.
It's like,
Well, if
So.
you, I think that's the chicken and egg that we're running into is nobody's saying you can't, you don't have to put it on the
Oh,
store,
yes, I
but when
see.
it
So,
is
yeah,
the
but you
only
can't get the
store
app.
in town.
Yes, or there are no reasonable means of getting an app other than the store.
Yeah. And when you have
Yeah, that's fair.
60% market share in the US,
Correct.
then it starts to become
That's
a
fair.
problem.
That's fair. Yep. Sorry, I
so
didn't think
if-
that one through.
Yeah, if this was being held, in the EU, for example, where it's 30% market share, this might be a whole different story.
I see.
But I think
Yes.
that's where the debate lies, is
Okay.
how much influence
We'll
does
watch
Apple
with
have.
interest.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be watching this one very closely. Things you should watch very closely are your .NET frameworks, because .NET
Yes.
Framework 4.x is reaching its end of life. So end of support is coming April 26, 2022. So you've got some
Yep.
time, but it's about a year. Got
Yep.
about a year, and .NET Framework is probably going to sunset at this point. I don't see this being another Silverlight where they keep kicking the can as people protest that they want more of their classic framework. .NET Core, I think, is to the point where you can transition these apps over and keep them feature parity and not have to rewrite a bunch of code to do it. That's just my opinion. They've shipped upgrade tools and compatibility tools to check for compatibility. They've done just about everything they could possibly do to handhold people from .NET Framework to get them on Core.
Sure.
So I think it's time, and it's time to migrate, and this is going to force people's hand in doing so.
Sure. This doesn't affect a large percentage of people. I think the vast majority of the customers you'll target will likely be running the latest, if you're fortunate enough. I would say there's probably a 50-50 chance that your customers will probably, I don't know where that number's coming from, I'm just pulling it right out of my butt, but it's like there's probably a 50-50 chance that your customers will probably be running the latest. These sort of issues are contentious with people who, embed software, have legacy systems, have old servers they can't touch. The development team has been hit by a bus. There's all kinds of reasons why this has a sort of contention within organizations. I think those are reasonable contentions, but I think that the runway here to get off the ground is significantly long enough that you really should not delay getting off these versions. And the reality is that moving from one of these frameworks to, say, .NET Core isn't as painful as you might think. It's certainly not as painful as, I don't want to bring up history, but our industry is littered with people, the stragglers, basically, who don't want to upgrade, who want, backwards compatibility to the end of time. And eventually what happens is, it's sort of Darwinish in its nature, but it's survival of the fittest. Basically, it's like, look, either adapt or die. It's like, these things will not be supported. They'll continue to run, right? They'll run, but if new bugs come out, like they won't be featured. So
yeah, and if I scared anybody too bad, I just may have found the part that I overlooked here. So this is the closing out .NET Framework all the way up to 4.6.1, but it looks like .NET Framework 4.6.2, you need to migrate to that before April, and then that'll buy you some more time.
Yeah.
But I feel like 4.6.2 is going to be it. That's just the...
Yeah.
These other ones are the canary in the coal mine. Like, it's about time to get out.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get off it. Let's move on to bigger, better things like C# 10. What's going on with C# 10?
Apparently, it's being talked about. So, Mads.
It's better than 9, right?
Yeah, apparently. So, Mads did a presentation at .NET Southwest and outlined some of the things that were coming in C# 10. And so, Ken Bonney here wrote a blog post basically providing a summary of that talk and outlined the features that are coming. So lots of stuff around records. Records are a new concept, obviously. I think .NET 6 quantified them quite a bit. So operational overloading for records, all kinds of features listed in here. Go through the list. But definitely a post worth reading. I actually haven't had a chance to go through each individual feature here, but this stuff's moving pretty fast.
So there's something with an add operator. What is this all about? I'm trying to
so typical operator overloading.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting some new features to the language.
Getters and setters. This is all around properties, I guess. Mm-hmm. So single file namespace imports.
Yeah, this looks like something I'd be using right here. The getter and setters. If you're not using the kind of like automated getter and setters, it's either like one or the other. Like you can't kind of like mix both. And this looks like we're getting the ability to add some more simple Lambda expressions inside of the auto properties. So that's nice.
So there's a with operator there for anonymous types. So if you scroll up a bit, So var bar equals foo with this anonymous type declared.
Nice.
There's a paragraph there that says it will now be possible to create a single file with multiple namespaces. Imports that are used everywhere. So, for example, if there's a popular namespace that's used in virtually every file, then it will be possible to add that to that NECS file.
That's nice. So this is similar to the underscore imports.cs that's in like a Blazor application. So you could do this across a regular C# project now. That sounds very helpful. So I get tired of putting those imports in.
Yep. I guess there's lots of features being added there. So
very cool.
So yeah.
Looking forward to it. I was picking up on some C# 9 stuff today and working with it and checking out record types and whatnot. I'm going to be on Layla Codes' show tomorrow.
Okay.
On Twitch, and we're going to mess around with some functional programming and stuff, so that should be fun. Speaking of Blazor and all of those things, I grabbed this headline real quick. I've seen this actually a few times before. I think it's new that Microsoft has joined this Bytecode Alliance, which is a group of kind of like the big tech giants getting together and promoting WebAssembly. So the idea of WebAssembly in this context is they want to expand it to more than just a bytecode that runs in the browser, but maybe can run on the OS itself as well.
Better stop calling it WebAssembly then.
Right. They're talking about this could be a security effort. I think they're talking about possibly using this as server-side bytecode, so that might still qualify as WebAssembly, I guess. Maybe if it's running on a server and you're accessing it through the web. So there's some stuff about how it could be good for security reasons, and they cite the big SolarWinds hack in here. So it looks like Microsoft's joining this group. The only company that is not like one of the big web companies that has joined this Bytecode Alliance is Apple. So Apple is late to the game on this one.
I don't know if they're late. I mean, I don't know if it makes any strategic importance for them. You know, I don't think companies like Apple or Microsoft or Google or any of these guys are ever late. I think they just don't want to come. So
they're fashionably withdrawn.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think in this instance, what benefit do they get by having this intermediate language running on top of their platform? I mean, I still remember the very prominent memo written by Steve Jobs entitled "A Word About Microsoft" or "A Word About Flash," or thoughts about Flash, or something like that, where he basically articulated the company's position on why Flash, I think, was not a very good platform, et cetera, for Apple. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. This is competition of their precious walled garden and their app store that they're making a killing off of. In the case of Epic, and especially, like I said before, in the U.S. So sure. I understand their business sense behind staying away from this. It doesn't make them money directly. So
no, and I think Apple's about using Apple tools, and they want to maintain control over the performance metrics they've seen with M1. And I think they don't want to go take a step backwards just to enable developers. I think I think Apple's policy, I'm totally guessing here, but I would speculate that if I was Apple, I would basically be like, listen, our tools work really well. If you recompile for our new platform, which is M1, you'll gain all these performance benefits. You have to use our tools. As crappy as some of the tools may be, they're getting better, but WebAssembly doesn't give us anything really that we don't already have. So, yeah, I can see Apple's point. I can also see, the WebAssembly trust, whatever it is, the council of
the elders of the web.
Yeah, I know, it's like a Lord of the Rings reference now. Why they would want something like this. So, but this has been done before. So,
sounds good. StackOnABudget. What
so this is it's a GitHub repo that just basically provides a list of services, of that have free tiers associated with them. So typically there's lots of services out there, Azure cloud services, for example, but other services as well that all have free tiers. And so this page basically goes through listing all those, and then gives developers an option to target them for building out their applications on a free budget, basically.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those list type of repos. Then it's not so much actual.
Yeah, it's like an awesome list.
It's like a like awesome, or like a good documentation of resources.
Sure.
Very cool.
So if you're looking for hosting, you're looking for, logging, you're looking for all these sorts of building blocks of most applications. There are a lot of services out there that provide free option tools, or free option tiers rather. And so this is a site that articulates those.
Cool. Good stuff. Stack on
a budget. So free tier driven development.
There we go. Speaking of free, hosting
Yes.
SQLite databases on GitHub pages.
Yeah, this
So
was
this
a
is
really
pretty cool.
This is a really clever hack. This actually utilizes WebAssembly to host a SQLite database within a static site, and then it will host. I think in this example, it's hosting a 670 megabyte database, and able to serve up that content very easily, which is fronted by a WebAssembly shim, basically. Well, actually, it's not a shim. There's a shim for JavaScript, but it's hosted within WebAssembly because SQLite's written in C. And so what this person did was they used GitHub Pages, which is a static hoster, to basically host this database, and they're able to serve up, rows and such. So this is about 670 megabytes, as I said. They're able to return result sets that are a few hundred K, and very efficiently and very fast through this sort of static.
This is really
host.
interesting.
Yeah.
So they've taken SQLite and ran it through Scriptin, which is the same compiler they use to get the .NET framework compiled to WebAssembly. And I can only assume that this is read-only, right? It's a read-only.
I would imagine, yeah.
Or
I don't know.
Type of a data repository, because how would it persist in a static host?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe temporary storage of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah,
So.
But I mean, you could use this for a
Cache.
blog engine or something like that, or cache. Or,
Yep.
There's a lot of creative uses for this. That's really neat.
Yeah, so you can actually run those queries that are listed there. They do send out a significant number of requests. So if you send out one of those, you'll see that you'll probably send out about 40 or so HTTP requests across your browser views, your browser tools. But gives you an option. So it's a clever hack.
Yeah. Like I said, I could see some really interesting scenarios for some semi-dynamic content that's on my blog that I want to push up there and pull out of a database rather than have it as statically generated HTML or something.
Or cached packages, right? So typical scenarios, you push it up to a CDN, and then sometimes you have to wait for the thing to sync or update. It can be kind of frustrating. So if you push it to a database, then you can just query it. So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I have something similar to that on my website that I always forget to update because it's not in a database of any kind. But like speaking schedule stuff.
Yep.
So if I get accepted for a session somewhere, and then I always forget to update it because it's a JSON file that acts like a cheap database, and the website kind of queries that JSON file, for lack of a better term. Filters it and stuff, and lists it out as upcoming versus past. But a small SQL database would be another cool way to do it. Volta, I like the name.
Yeah.
Hassle-free JavaScript tool manager.
Yeah, so it's like a meta tool. It's like a tool to help manage your tools. In this case, they use Node as the example. But Volta is a relatively new tool. I think it shipped back in December. And what it allows you to do is manage particularly Node instances. So one of the challenges you'll face when targeting Node is obviously you have different versions of Node, etc. on a machine. So Volta provides you a means of across not only versions, but also and different tools, but also different platforms. So this works across Mac and Unix-based machines like Unix-based machines like Mac. So yeah, so you can easily manage your node instances. You can switch very easily. It's built on Rust, I believe, so it's very easy to basically get going and keep persistent in your system, and then allows you to work really quickly and easily with the various tools that are on your machine.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had a couple run-ins with Node in the past with things like this. So my blog, again, for one, it's using Jekyll and actually that's Node and Ruby, right? So there's been some conflict there with different versions of Node and what Jekyll is built to run on versus what you have installed. You can run into some weird stuff with versioning. So that might actually be
it can get a bit hairy. You got to set certain environment variables or certain, hidden config files. It can get a bit gnarly. So
cool. Tiny wins. Sounds like a Rick and Morty thing. Like
yeah, sure. I thought this was a good article. This basically summarizes an approach towards development, which is sometimes your customers are going to feel a lot of gratitude towards things that are just small benefits or tiny wins in this instances towards the environment within which they're working. And so this article basically is a call to developers to say, listen, rather than working on boiling the ocean and getting big features out, why not focus on improving the lives, the day-to-day lives, by shipping often and shipping early? And so he cites a ton of examples where, GitHub has this fave icon feature where if you run an action, it will say running, failed to run, or has run. So that fave icon will change based on the execution. And it's little niceties like that can really make the difference. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, little bits.
Yep.
This is what little wins reminds me of, or tiny wins reminds me of little bits. This is probably not a safe for work video, so I just pull up the screenshot. But little bits, tiny wins.
I was thinking Timbits. That's
sold.
a Canadian reference, but there you go. So yeah, so you can see in the graphic there, he cites the example of using GitHub Actions, but there's all kinds of little things that I'm sure your application could possibly do better. A little bit of polish goes a long way, and the idea there is that by making these features beneficial, then users get more. I guess they're delighted basically. And I think it's that little bit of polish that helps. Just coming back to Apple. Apple does this extremely well, where they focus intensely on the user experience. And so I would say rather than working on just getting the feature right, maybe think about, let's take a second, pause, and think about what the user is actually going through when they're using this feature. And so there's little things like skip intro buttons in Netflix, the Chrome notification of which tab is making noise, things like that. It is basically a way of improving your product and ultimately improving your business because more people will enjoy it. Yeah,
I like that. I never thought of it in this regard, but I like the examples that were given.
Sure.
So it's the attention to details that always gets you. It's that fit and finish.
Yes. So measure twice, cut once.
All right.
What other sort of cliches can we pull out?
What other dad analogies do we have up our sleeve, John?
Sure.
ScriptKit Automation for developers. Is this one of those things where I can just go to a website and download stuff and then take a vacation and nobody will know?
I don't know. Maybe
there was a guy that did that once. You remember that?
Yeah, there's a lot of references.
His whole job.
Sure.
Collected a check, and then his employer got mad at him anyway.
Yeah, sure. Why not? So ScriptKit was written by John Lindquist. I believe he's at GitHub. And what this is basically a integrated script environment. There's tons of these things where you can have these script runners. They're basically they're available both on Mac and Windows. These script runners. This is just one that's based for Mac, but they allow you to run these scripts that most developers will use from time to time. So, for example, running, image searches, running requests that you would typically issue against the command line or things like that. You don't have to memorize all that stuff. And the best part of it is that it's a repository. So there's more scripts being added. There's popular scripts that are added, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're running on a Mac, this is an integrated Finder app. You use the command line to pop it up, and then it will run these on your system. So scripting on a macros, scripting on your system, good ways of getting better speed and efficiency on your machine.
I mean, who couldn't live without a Giphy search? I mean,
Sure.
Every app needs one of those.
Yep.
So, Center app.
Yeah.
Center
So sometimes you want to
foremost
take
app.
the foremost, frontmost app and just bring it and align it to the center.
Okay.
So if you're doing a presentation, for example, you want to, set a certain configs. There's a variety of tools that do this. I think there was one tool that I used to use for Mac. I've forgotten the name of it now. It's like it's not Jeeves, it's not Charles. It's something like a Butler app. I think it's called Butler or something like that on the Mac that allows you to do all these macros that does all this stuff for you. So
Very interesting.
yeah.
Lots of
These
good
are
little
available.
things there.
This tool is available for Mac, obviously, but there are tons and tons of tools available for both Mac and Windows that do these sorts of things. So you can look for them and find them pretty quickly. So there's a dad joke one there.
There we go. Can't live without that.
Yeah. Can I has a dad
It's a
joke.com.
filter I have built in, but
Sure.
it's a feature, not a bug.
Yep.
I thought this was pretty interesting. It's an article from the QA perspective about testing augmented reality in VR because it poses some new perspectives that normal software testing doesn't usually deal with. So there's kind of some guidance here I think this is targeted at people that are already doing software QA. Maybe they're trying to expand what they do and get into AR and VR, or maybe this is something that's been brought upon them. Maybe their company started working with these technologies and they're trying to get up to speed. So it kind of gives you the background of what AR and VR are,
Sure.
where they came from. Where they came from, how to work with this stuff on your devices and whatnot. And then kind of the steps that you need to take in working with the technology and weeding out some of the quality problems in that type of software. So it's a good onboarding article for folks that are looking to kind of get into that space from the QA perspective, and I thought that was
All right.
a unique take. You don't see that type of article.
I was going to say, just give the thing to your son or daughter, because I find that children have a great way of breaking things. You're like, oh, I didn't expect that. So
Yeah, I was telling somebody about this the other day. I used to make game levels for Counter-Strike, and my daughter was about 4 or 5 years old when I did this, and I would just throw her on the computer by herself.
Sure.
And let her run around the level until I saw her jump off into space somewhere where she didn't belong. And she'd be like, Daddy, I got
That's the
out.
old monkey wrench approach. just throw a monkey wrench into it and see what happens.
See if you can escape the level. If you can get out of the play area, we found a problem.
You know what's funny? There's a YouTube channel. I can't remember the name of it, but what they do is they show speed runs to the development team. So speed runs in a game are where you try and finish a level as quickly as possible. So a classic example might be Super Mario Brothers, and you try and see how fast you can do World 1 of 1, for example. And typically these speed runs leverage hacks. And so there's a YouTube channel that you can find where they'll show the speed run to the development team. And
nice.
It's usually you'll see the development team sitting around this they'll do, it's like a reaction video where they're just basically like, oh God, oh what did he do? Like, and they're all reacting. They're like, oh my God, are you serious? And they like a couple days later, you'll see a patch from the team. Like, yeah, you can't do that. But like these speedruns will leverage like little missing things. Like usually it's like a corner edge of a room doesn't have the collision detection set just right or whatever, and people are jumping through there, and then they ricochet over to this other part of the map, and then they finish the world in like 5 seconds. So
I have a friend of mine that does game dev, and he likes to watch people do that on Twitch.
Yeah,
and it's good for multiple reasons. They're promoting the game, and he's learning a lot from it. But he's posted things on Twitter, like side by side, like his speed run versus theirs, and it's always something unique.
Someone's at the front door, Ed. Oh no. Someone's at the front door. Okay. This is where Ed mutes and then yells at his family, and then
no, whoever it is not important. So
all right.
This one is this is the last thing I've got, by the way. But
okay.
I like this tweet somebody put out. They're like, "Don't underestimate CSS. Here's how you can do an image-only carousel," and it's literally 2 lines of CSS.
Okay.
And it's like, if you apply these 2 values to a list of images, then you've got a scroller. Like this used to be probably one of the top reasons somebody go get jQuery
Bootstrap
and a plugin for it, right?
Sure.
So they would go grab like an image carousel, and this is something that is so easy now that it is part of CSS. If I could get it, and of course it's not going to work on stream for me, but
sure.
You have to take their word for it, I guess. No,
yeah.
I'm sure I'm doing.
There's some action,
wrong.
I guess, you have to invoke in order to go to the next image.
Yeah, there was like a whole list of these in the response from people, and they started posting all their code pens and just how easy it is. They've added animations and hover states and things to some of these as well. So
yep.
I thought that was a really cool post, and it just reminds you how far along CSS has come. So if you go to CodePen, you can find many of these if you just search for carousel slider. But I remember doing some of these like on WordPress sites and stuff for customers, and it was like you had to download the thing and configure the thing for WordPress and do all the extra steps, and now it's like just 3 lines of CSS or less. So
I was going to make another Rick and Morty reference, which is like, that sounds like a carousel with just extra steps.
Exactly. The WordPress days are behind me now, but some of the scars remain. All right, John, I think that's all we've got for today, but cool. I appreciate you coming in, having commentary with me as usual. It's always fun.
Yep.
We've got our hackathon is still going on, and there's about 3 weeks left. So if you're not in yet, it's not a bad time to start, but it's getting to be to the point where it's going to be a time crunch if you don't. So find us at Telerik.com, and you can find links to the hackathon on our website, or just ping me on Twitter. I will send you the link to it. We've also got shows here on Code It Live all week long, and I personally will be on Layla Codes at stream tomorrow, but I'll be here on Wednesday, along with TJ will be here on Wednesday as well, and Alyssa and I will be back Thursday and Friday for some VR and some other shenanigans, so stick around, and cool. We'll see all of you this week. Take care, John.
Yeah, you too.